Falcons have made a roster signing, and I think it has a chance to become a potential starter. Brandon Parker was signed off the street to the Falcons' 53-man roster, a former third-round draft pick by the Oakland Raiders at the time, and then played for the Las Vegas Raiders afterwards, making a handful of starts. 33 to be exact. He is 6'8", so you can see why, despite playing at North Carolina A&T, which is not a traditional football powerhouse, he was a day 2 draft pick by the Raiders, and he was their right tackle for a long time. However, we have not seen much of Mr. Parker over the last few years. He's played in just 5 games the last 2 seasons with just 1 start. He was with the San Francisco 49ers for the last few weeks, but the Niners moved on from him just 2 days ago, and the Falcons, with an open roster spot after trading Taylor Heinicke away, came in and swooped him up. Now, we're going to talk about why I think this could be a potential starter down the road in just a moment, but I was looking at our subscriber numbers, and the bosses gave me the green light to do another watch party. Hopefully, this one brings a win for Monday Night Football, but we got to get to 24,400 subscribers. That was the number they gave me in order to get a producer to do the watch party next Monday night. So go ahead and subscribe right now and then come hang out with us on Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not think Falcons fans should be sleeping on Brandon Parker at right tackle. I don't think he's going to come in and immediately take his starting gig, but he does have a ton of starting experience, 33 games with the Raiders, so I don't think this is just some minor move. If it was, it would probably be to the practice squad. But it goes right to the 53-man roster because Kaleb McGary in Week 1 against TJ Watt and the Steelers could not pass block for shit. Pardon my French, but it was a little bit of a turnstile at times. 38.1 PFF pass blocking grade. Now, Kirk Cousins did not do his offensive line a ton of favors because he was a statue. So he did not aid them at all by maybe moving the pocket around or slipping out of a sack. No, if you got past the lineman, you got to Kirk Cousins every single time. Now, I don't think Brandon Parker is going to come off the street and be an immediate starter or save the day at the right tackle position. The last time he was on the field in a meaningful way was 2021, when he had an overall PFF grade of 55.8 and a very well-rounded pass blocking and run blocking grades in what was a career-high 881 snaps. But with Kirk Cousins being a statue, the Falcons do need to recognize that, yeah, you want to have some good pass blocking linemen because the quarterback's not going to be able to evade a lot of sacks. But at the same time, if you can't get the quarterback to move at all, maybe you should lean into the ground game a little bit. And if that's the plan of action, you are going to want guys like Kaleb McGary who are great run blocking linemen. So there are some pros and cons to this, right? You don't want to have a tackle out there that can't protect the quarterback. But if your quarterback can't move, then you're probably going to run the football. And if you're going to run the football, you're going to want some good run-blocking linemen like Mr. McGary. So for now, I think this is just a depth signing. This is just a little bit of insurance at a very important position like offensive tackle. But when you've got an open roster spot and you choose to make a signing at offensive tackle, I do think that sends a little bit of a message, and there's a little bit of thinking behind it. Not just, oh, we have an open roster spot. Let's pick a name out of the hat. Brandon Parker, welcome to the Atlanta Falcons. No, I think there was some major thought put into the position that was signed, and that could mean a potential change down the line if the pass blocking does not improve for Kaleb McGary. Now, I do got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today before we get to the rest of the video, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, and they call Georgia home. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I'm talking turning $10 into $1,000 with as little as 4 correct picks. Now, Prize Picks is offering up this super cool deal, which Caleb Williams' passing yards is at 0.5. 0.5. So basically, that is just given to you. And then you got to make one more correct selection to win some money. So I'm going with the more on Jameson Williams for the Detroit Lions. He really popped off on Sunday Night Football against the Rams. So 45.5, yeah, give me the more on that. Prize Picks, by the way, invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Now, switching gears here, it is Tuesday, so this is usually when you kind of turn the page and start getting ready for the next opponent, which, ironically enough, our video for today was supposed to be a preview, which will probably come out tomorrow now. But I do want to just give one last look in the rearview mirror to week one. And I was looking over the snap counts, and there were a couple of names and numbers that surprised me a little bit. Starting at the outside linebacker position. Matthew Judon, who was just added to this team about 3 weeks ago, already leading the pack with 46 snaps on defense, making up nearly 70% of defensive snaps. Lorenzo Carter filed in next, but Arnold Ebiketie just 22. Not good, I'll be honest. Like, if they didn't get Judon, these were going to be your two starting outside linebackers. And now Ebiketie is getting outsnapped by a guy who was benched last year. Like, I've got some concerns about his future and his role on this team if in week one the guy is seeing the field 25% of the time. Now, Judon thankfully had, I thought, a really good outing. I mean, 5 tackles, a half a sack. He was creating a lot of pressure. He had that one big sack, or him and Grady Jarrett did, in the second half on Justin Fields just to give this offense a chance. So really encouraging stuff by what we saw out of 15. Moving on to the other linebackers. This one definitely caught me by surprise, but I feel like when you're watching the game live, you're just not registering like the snap counts, right? I'm not Rain Man computing everyone's snaps every single game, every single snap. But Kaden Elliss playing every single snap is not a surprise. Nate Landman out-snapping Troy Andersen when Troy Andersen was the one that started. And I don't think this is because Troy Andersen is a bad linebacker. I think it's just like we saw last year, Nate Landman makes it incredibly difficult to take off the field, which is why I thought Nate Landman should have been the starter going into the season. Ultimately, I wouldn't say I pivoted, but just acknowledge they're probably going to go with Andersen because he was the initial starter last year, second-round draft pick, ton of great physical traits. But Nate Landman, 7 tackles, and one of those being a huge stop on 4th down on Justin Fields, jumping over the pile. So Landman is someone to keep an eye on that could take the starting gig over Andersen. And then finally, the safeties. Bates and Simmons playing 100% of the snaps, not a surprise. Richie Grant, 0. A big fat donut. This is a little bit of a surprise simply because, well, it's a surprise, I think, because the direction the NFL is headed, which is a lot of wide receivers on the field and a lot of speed, which is then combated by a lot of DBs like 3 safeties. But when you play the Steelers week 1 and Van Jefferson is their number 2 receiver and he was awful, they are probably going to trot out a lot of jumbo packages, which means you are going to use more linebackers and less DB. So for week 1, I don't think this is something to read too much into, like, oh, Richie Grant sucks now, he's not even on the field. No, they play the Steelers, who only use maybe 2 wide receivers max on the field at once. When they play the Eagles on Monday night, and Philadelphia puts out A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and the rest of their receiving core and their weapons like Zach Ertz, they are probably going to use a few more, nickel defense sets on for Atlanta and an extra DB like Richie Grant. Also, one other name that caught my eye was Tyler Algier, who I thought when he got the rock had some good runs, but he only got 3 carries, 21 yards, and just 10 snaps. I mean, it's week 1, so we shouldn't be making too big of a deal out of anything, but it definitely sounded like the Falcons wanted to have a decent, balanced rushing attack between Robinson and Algier, and it was not balanced in week 1. Like, it was pretty much all Robinson. Every once in a while, he got a breather, and Algier came in, whether he got the handoff or not, but yeah, it was very much a one-sided affair in the running back room. All right, before we let you guys get on out of here with the rest of your Tuesday, if you are still watching right now, hit that thumbs up button. You know I love the end of the video crew for watching all the way to the end. So go ahead and smash that thumbs up button if you have not already.